Hey guys, it's your boy Obsidious back with another video. Multiple articles came out today that Danny Ainge, the GM of the Boston Celtics, would, look for a big trade. Not just any trade, but a trade that will help the Celtics immensely. Today we're going to look at possible trades and how they can, trade for those guys that they want. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe so I can break down and analyze the news of the NBA. Not just any news, the biggest news that are available in the NBA world. With that out of the way, let's begin. Why would Danny Ainge, want a big trade? Like, why is it important for them? Well, if you look at the Boston Celtics this year, they're 12 and 10 currently in the league, making them the fourth team in the East. And although that is good, I'm afraid that Boston Celtics might be just what I'm thinking, which is the good team, the great team that never wins a championship. And I know the squad is young, but look at the Dallas Mavericks. If the Dallas Mavericks were in, the Celtics situation where they have multiple picks, they have great players, trust me, shit will be different in Dallas. But they're not in Boston, and Boston's not Dallas. So they have to find a way to win a championship, because this is really a good opportunity, because they can really beat the Brooklyn Nets if they want to, and they can beat the Milwaukee Bucks if they wanted to, but currently they don't have the pieces to beat those teams. So I have 6 trades that I might see Danny Ainge pulling off this season. The Boston Celtics, for a couple of days, have been putting their eyes on Thibodeau Young, and I believe that they could trade for Thibodeau Young in exchange for 2 second-round picks and, the Gordon Hayward trade exception. He's averaging 11.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.4 assists, in really good efficiency from the field, but unfortunately this season he hasn't been shooting good from the 3-point line, and that could hurt, his stock a little bit for Chicago. But the point is, Thibodeau Young is always this high energy veteran that knows what to do defensively and most of the time offensively, and I think he's going to be a really good addition as a role player. And in my opinion, he could be one of the best role players in a championship team. He's easy to get, in my opinion. Yes, he's overpaid, but because he's overpaid, that's how easy it is to get him, and they have the biggest trade exception in the NBA, and if they want to use it, they could use it on a guy like Thibodeau Young. And for the Chicago Bulls, they would just take anything really for Thibodeau Young, in my opinion. In these days, Andre Drummond's, the Derrick Roses, they're not going to get much. I think Thibodeau Young is falling in this category because although he's a good player, as I said, he's just overpaid, and he's not great where you're going to get something significant. And yeah, I think it's a fair trade for both teams, in my opinion. Similar yet cheaper addition to this team, in my opinion, would be PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is going to be traded for the Boston Celtics in exchange for Romeo Langford. No picks. And the reason why I believe this trade will go down if it's offered is because with the Houston Rockets, their season could be over, since they're going to trade Victor Oladipo pretty soon, and Christian Wood is down. So I don't really know if they're going to, compete for a playoff seed. They can if they wanted to, but just in case if they didn't really want to, and they're going to take, players and picks instead of making the 8th seed, then I think this is one of those trades. And you could say, yes, it's an okay trade, but, Rockets could get better than that. Well, I say no team is going to give up a lottery player, a player that's been selected in the lottery. And yes, he hasn't proved anything yet in the NBA, but there was a reason why they picked him in the lottery. He has good potential, and a lot of people don't recognize that because, the draft happened literally 2 years ago. But the fact of the matter is that it's good value for both teams, because the Boston Celtics are not going to use him, and the Houston Rockets, they don't need PJ Tucker if they're going to rebuild. One of the biggest additions to the Boston Celtics in the 2019 offseason was Kemba Walker, but so far in his stint with the Boston Celtics, he's been really disappointing. Now, if I have to trade Kemba Walker, there are many scenarios that you can look up for, but for the sake of this video, one idea that I really thought of is a 3-team trade between the Celtics, the Clippers, and the Timberwolves. The Celtics will get Lou Williams, Ricky Rubio, Ivica Zubac, and Terrence Mann in exchange for what? Kemba Walker, a second rounder, to the Clippers. And the Timberwolves will give out Patrick Beverly, Patterson, and Mfiende Kabengele. The Timberwolves, I don't want to focus about them. However, I want to talk about the Clippers side. The Clippers will get a point guard that is going to help them initiate their offense. While with the Celtics, one of their huge problems was depth. And I do think that Ricky Rubio will be a good starting point guard, and Lou Williams could be a nice backup point guard also, because Jeff Teague has been really disappointing this season and he's doing nothing really. Ivica Zubac is the true center of this team right now. No matter what you think about him, we all know that he's a traditional big man that can occasionally shoot the mid-range. And I think all those teams, gotta think that they really need. The Timberwolves get defense, the Clippers need a point guard, and the Celtics, they get bench depth. The inspiration and the reason why I'm doing this video is the trade that I'm going to propose right now. It is with Sacramento Kings Harrison Barnes. The Celtics have been really targeting Harrison Barnes the most. And how would they get them, you may ask? Well, the trade package will probably look something like this: Harrison Barnes and Richaun Holmes in exchange for Robert Williams, Romeo Langford, 2 unprotected first-round picks, and the money from Gordon Hayward's contract. I love this trade because the Kings finally go young and they get 2 really okay picks. And Robert Williams is a solid big, while the Celtics, they get the small ball center that they want. And if it doesn't work, guess what? They already got a transition center in this trade. You might also, think that Richaun Holmes is too valuable to be in this trade. But if you want me to honestly, to give you my opinion about that, I think Richaun Holmes is one of the most overrated players in the game. Yes, he can defend. Yes, he can rebound and do all the good shit. But here's the thing. He's not a great defender. He's a good defender. He's not a great lob target. He's a good lob target. He's good at everything. He plays his role. He's not above his role. He just plays it. While you're asking yourself, besides the Kemba trade, which trade will be the biggest trade that he can do right now, since that's what Danny Ainge wants to do. He wants to do a big splash. Well, I think the Grizzlies, Jonas Valanciunas, is the answer. He's not the star, he's not the elite of the elites, but what he is really a great offensive center. Yes, he might have his problems with the Celtics, but here's the thing: when they signed Enes Kanter was supposed to be this offense, no defense type of guy, and he was, but he wasn't as impressive as they expected. Hence, they traded him. So with Jonas Valanciunas, they will get what they expected from Enes Kanter and better. But for what price? Because surely Jonas Valanciunas has value in the trade market. Well, the trade package will be Danny Ainge, Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith, and a first-round pick plus a second-round pick. I forgot to add a first-round pick, but it's still the same thing. The Grizzlies will do this because Danny Ainge is not the biggest drop off from Jonas Valanciunas. Second of all, they need a nice shooter around John Morant, and Aaron Naismith could be the guy. 3, they get draft picks. Who doesn't like draft picks? And 4, they could, try to develop Romeo Langford. They're still in the phase of developing those young guys and trying to get the best out of the not disrespected, but more of the not given a chance players. And I think Romeo Langford might, excel in the Grizzlies. With Jonas, however, Jonas will help them immensely with the board problems that they have. They don't have a problem, but he will surely not make them worry about getting rebounds offensively and defensively. He can score in the post way better than Tristan Thompson and Danny Ainge. I'll give you that. And he can shoot his occasional 3, and that is really deadly, really deadly. But I don't think that's the biggest trade that they can make. I think they can make a bigger splash in the trade market. But if we're talking about right now, I think Jonas Valanciunas could be the biggest splash that they make. Looking back at the Jonas Valanciunas trade, although it is great, I think they can do better. And I've mentioned that, if they want to do it right now, they can do the Jonas Valanciunas. But what if they can wait? What if they're like, okay, we're going to wait till near the trade deadline and we're going to trade? Because it's been rumored that not only do they want to package Danny Ainge, but they'll also gladly package Tristan Thompson with them. So, who will they get? Obviously, since they're trading 2 of their centers, I believe they're going to get a center. Well, that center is Miles Turner. Yes, I know you guys are bored of hearing Miles Turner to Celtics. Yes, it was this close to happen, but it didn't happen. A lot of things went wrong. But the fact of the matter is, they still need a guy like Miles Turner. That is what they meant by a big trade. When you look at the description of an NBA Boston Celtics insider, he said that they want a big guy that can defend and shoot, and who can do it the best is Miles Turner. But what will the trade package be? Well, simple. It's going to be a 3-team trade. The Pacers are going to get Robin Lopez, Danny Ainge, Romeo Langford, first-round pick, a second-round pick, and another first-round pick. The Wizards get Tristan Thompson and Jalen Leclerc. The Celtics, they only get Miles Turner in addition of Jerome Robinson. Now, there's a lot of things that you might ask yourself right now looking at this trade. Why do the Pacers get only 2 first-rounders? Why do the Pacers get a downgrade from the center? Because if they would trade a center, they'd probably trade him for a different position. Because maybe they want Domantas Sabonis to be a 5, and with those guys, he won't really be a 5. Well, I say this: I think Robin Lopez and Danny Ainge are really great additions to the bench unit coming off the bench. I think Romeo Langford will be a really good young player that they could develop. Now, you can argue with the picks, since they're only getting Robin Lopez and Danny Ainge. You can argue, hey, they should get another 2 first-rounders from the Celtics. I can argue maybe the Wizards should throw in another, but considering what the Wizards are getting, I think 1 first-rounder and Robin Lopez is more than enough for Tristan Thompson and Jalen Leclerc. And that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And if you did, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss NBA news analysis. With that out of the way, signing out.